Welcome to part 3. We're just winging it.
We really are.
Really, truly.
I have no thoughts in my head right now. I'm just expecting the Lord to fill in the gaps.
Yep. So we're going to talk about waiting. Why? We're professionals.
We are. We really are.
That's why we were kind of like nervous, like who's going to listen to 30-year-old single girls? So thanks of you who have continued to do so. But like we said in previous episodes, is that Lynn's wasted 15 years of her life with this one guy, and
I did learn a lot of valuable lessons.
It wasn't a total waste, but tomato. But and I did the same thing. Mine was at least 10, and that's what I said in the last one, is that it was just because I was so desperate to try and be in a relationship. Whoever gave me attention is who I went after, and most of them were garbage, and I knew it, but I liked the way they made me feel. I liked the compliments, and I just went after them. And there were decent guys in that mix, but I just didn't feel right about it. And they're happily married, so you're welcome. So the verse that came to mind was Psalm 34. Oh, Lynn's. It's Psalm 37. 37 verse 4. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he will give you the desires and secret petitions of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, roll over and repose each care of your load on him. Trust, lean on, rely, and be confident also in him, and he will bring it to pass. So, and in verse 3, it's saying trust in the Lord. So there's, we're trusting and we're praying, and I have a list. I have a very specific list, like college ruled notebook all the way down list, which I did, I wouldn't say compromise, but I let go, like hairy chest. I'm serious.
I was thinking of that the other day, and I was just like, she needs to let that one go.
I did, but I won't compromise on backs. If you have to comb your back hair, I can't. So I know there's waxing, but you know what? There's going to be someone that likes that. Not Sarah. I can't let it go, but I'll be all right with chest hair.
I'm going to laugh really hard when your husband's the hairiest man.
The hairiest.
On the earth. Mm-hmm.
Probably in the Guinness Book of World Records. But be specific. What do you like? What do you want? And truly, if God is not number one, throw the list away. Because I have made lists where God was kind of in the middle or near the end, and that's what I got. I mean, he did not want a relationship with the Lord. He did not make an effort. Chief of sinners, some of them. So, and then the ones, yes, like I talked about my ex that lasted like 3 months, but his relationship with the Lord was probably in the middle, and I don't want that. You
really have to be so set on the importance of the spiritual, because I will say in my last relationship, he had everything that I wanted. He really did. Like so many things. And even now I look back and I'm just like, wow, he was really a gem. But the most important thing is the spiritual. And if that is not number one, then all those other things really don't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I have a scripture for him, and it's Song of Solomon. It's in verse 5 or verse 7. It's like the whole chapter. So it's like in the Passion, because some translations you're like, what in the world is this? So especially the Message.
Where is it?
I think it's
4?
5.
5. Oh.
Let me get my Passion translation.
Hold, please.
Hold, please, as we research.
Is it not in the Bible?
It should be. TPC.
There we go.
Okay. It's 5. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long, but it's 5 verse 10. And read it in the Passion Translation because it's the other translations makes it really sexual, but this goes deeper. So in the previous, they're like, what makes your beloved better than any other? What is it about him that makes you ask us to promise you this? So the bride here is talking, he alone is my beloved. He shines in dazzling splendor, yet is still so approachable. Without equal as he stands above all others, outstanding among 10,000. The way he leads me is divine. His leadership so pure and dignified. And yada, yada, yada. And then in verse 7, the man is speaking about the woman. So in verse 7, like that's how I want to portray myself. So I think it was Bishop Jakes, and he said something like, you know, all you women want this strong, muscular man. Well, what does the man want? So I was like, that's valid. Like, you know, it goes both ways. So if I'm believing for, you know, Mr. Right, what is he believing for? And so that's how I would like, you know, to be an answer to his prayer. Linz?
I agree. I don't know that I have anything else to say on that. Yeah, my mind is blank.
Okay.
Sorry.
We will end this with a quote then. Saw it on Facebook.
Oh, I did have something.
Yes, go.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll end on
Well,
that quote.
this is probably a little different, but kind of going into God's sovereignty, because I think that just the whole conversation of dating and marriage brings up a lot of fear for some of us, especially as we get older. And so we think about all these things that we want, and we think about who we need to be for a husband or a wife, and it's kind of stressful. And so I think it's important to remember that ultimately the Lord has everything under his control, and we can do what we do, but ultimately whatever's in his plan is going to happen. And there's many verses about his sovereignty, which I will pull up in a second. Well, Romans 8:28, and we know for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. There's one specifically, the lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Proverbs 16:33. And then there was one more that I wanted to mention. Okay, and it's gone. But anyway, just to point out that sometimes we think that we are the God of our lives, and if we do something and we mess up, everything's ruined, our lives are ruined, but the Lord has a plan, and there's no need to be fearful about our relationships, our future, our marriage, all that.
Yeah. And nobody's perfect, obviously. Like, even though you may have a list, you know, there is not a flawless person. There's, you know, everybody's going to have something. So there's what's one pastor, he's like, you have to date a human because we get such an image in our minds that it's like an impossible person almost.
And people do change over time. Sometimes the person you marry doesn't end up being the person like 10 years later. They're not the same. And and it can be in a good way. You you grow together and you make changes together. And so you have to keep that in mind too.
Yeah. So we'll end on this. My next relationship will be my last. So I'm not looking, I'm not worried, I'm not rushing. I want this love to find me, learn me, want me, need me, and love me in slow motion. We have forever to go. I thought that was really beautiful. I don't know who said it. It could be totally made up, but good job on that. So we will be back for part 4.
Okay.
All right.